Welcome members, engaged with tech market analysts, Silicon Valley, California, New York, London, Edinburgh, Bangalore. So we have in globally spread chapters. So welcome to the today webinar. This today webinar is scheduled on your boot, your brand, your business. Webinar is to cover the branding aspects of the boot. So I'm Sumant Parimal. I'm host for this webinar. I'm market analyst and from the Star Consulting Services Inc. and Immigration Professional Services. And I'm also an ex-IDC analyst. So the theme of this webinar is to make you feel the importance of branding in developing and marketing your boards. So many of you must be working on the board product, be it the chart board, be it the virtual agents, or be it the smart agents. So how important the brand building is for both and for your virtual agents. So that's the total theme for the today webinar. So hopefully you'll like it, and some of the recommendations we are giving at the end of the webinar, and you'll be able to follow it. And during this presentation, if you have any query, just ping me in the chat window. I shall be able to take it forward. And though I have a fixed Q&A time slot at the end of the webinar. So my first slide is across giving some of the pointers why the brandings are required in board development. So here I have thrown some questions to you. So if you are working on any board product project or product of virtual agents, be it the chart boards, so you should consider these questions. So I think I've done some research, and I've, based on my interaction with the various the board companies and board developers, I would like to say that boards having at this point of time in general, boards having some kind of brand identity crisis. So let me bounce with some further questions to validate my assumption. So do you sell technology to your customer, or are you selling a brand to your customers? So if you're selling a boots, you should ask, do you sell technology or brand in your boards? The next question I have here, are you dealing with identity issue while marketing your boards? The next question which you can consider, do your customer feels that your boards are enhancing its brand and your customers experience? So that is very important. You are a technology firm. You may not be directly installing boards into your services or products, but you are actually serving your customers who are big enterprises, maybe the retail, maybe the e-commerce, maybe some kind of healthcare portals. So if your boards going there, then you should actually ask this question, whether your boards are enhancing the brand of your customers. I mean, enhancing the brand of your customer by means of enhancing the better customer experience for your customers. So do you think branding your boards by humans like first name is correct strategy? Many boards are branded by in this way, that they keep the like they'll say Zini could be a boat name. So they think that's all about the branding. So I mean, is enough, or is the correct strategy to brand your board by the first name of a typical human being? The next question arises, do you think your boards are also your brand extension? I mean, it's like your brand is encapsulated in your boards. The next validation you should do you know the way your boards interacts with the external or internal world impacting your branding? How it impacts your branding while your customers or your customers interact with your board? Do you know your board's designs are also impacting your brand as well as your customer brand? So it's basically a chain, you know. I mean, once you have designed a wrong board, then your branding will also get ruined. Your customer branding will also get ruined, and then you are into haywire. You know, suddenly you invested a lot of time and money in your board design, and suddenly you're finding that your customers are not happy. and so you are also not happy. So next questions which you should ask: do you know thousands and thousands of your customers interacts with your boards in one go? So a design flaw in your board can ruin your image in one go. So typical human based interaction, what's happened that at a time your agent is interacting with one customer, maybe two customer in a slot, or maybe hardly in a shift, you can say, as we interacting with 20 or 25 customers in one go, in say 6 hour stretch. But when your boards are there on the customer services front, then boards of the virtual agents, they can do the parallel processing of the various customer query in one go, and then thousand and hundreds threads they can deal with. So if you have a design flaw which has the potential to ruin your brand, then it can impact the customer experience of thousand of your customers or your customers' customers. So consider this fact that how it could be the negative. If something goes wrong in your brand positioning of your boards concern. So do your boards having unique online personality with whom your customers love to engage with? So this is a good question you should consider. If your customers are not very comfortable, or in the previous modes of manual based interaction, if your customers were engaging with your board, I mean your virtual your agents for say only 5 minutes, so after deployment of your boards, did you find any improvement in the engagement? Whether now customers are engaging for a larger period of time, or they are just leaving the conversation in under frustration, say within the shorter period. So I think you need to consider this point. And then have you measured your board's impacts on customer retentions and other KPIs? So that is also very important. You should know the KPI in which you can measure the customer retention. So that reflects how well customers are engaging with your boards, and this in turns validates your brand positions. Coming to the next slide, how prominent boards are getting branded. So let me throw a little light on the world leading boards, how they are getting branded by their respective companies. So let's consider the Alexa. So it's provided by Amazon. Everybody knows it. Alexa comes as a confident and considerate. She does not repeat profanity, does not even use slang very often. So I think mostly the female tones which is provided in Alexa. So similarly, the Apple Siri is sassy. Her personality is smart, witty with a slight edge, and she is prone to cheeky responses. So what are the next observations? Siri can also become jealous, especially when users confuses her with another voice system. When someone makes that mistake, her retort is something along the lines of, "Why don't you ask Alexa to make that call for you?" So what this means? This means that all this observation is very much keeping with the Apple brand, the conversation of Siri, which I have just mentioned. So, which has long espoused individuality over conformity. So, indeed, Siri seems more personal than product. So, in this particular example, we have seen how Apple has mapped Siri across, inherited Siri with its own brand positioning, its own brand identity. So consider how boards like Siri or Alexa has already become so closely associated with the Apple and Amazon brands, and they invest a lot in personality training. So if you are into boards project, personality training is one of the key components. Sophie, which is a board in healthcare, reminds consumers to take their medications and regularly checks with them to see how they are feeling. Got it personality training by Robin Ewing, a leading scriptwriter from Hollywood. So personality training is very important for development of the brand in your boards. So many companies, big companies, are deploying the personality trainers, right from the Hollywood script writers to the artists to the psychologists. And look at the Microsoft. At Microsoft, a team that includes a poet, a novelist, and a playwright is responsible for helping to develop Cortana's board's personality. So if you see the Microsoft board's personality training, it has been again done by the team of poet, artist, novelist, and playwright. So what it is coming out? So if you analyze how the Siri has been trained in personality during personality training, and how the Alexa being trained during personality training. So personality training is one of the key characteristics of brand building. You can say building block for the brand building. So if you have to bring the brand, you have to involve engineers, scientists, artists, and psychologists. They all need to work in together to create brand for your boards through personality training. So coming to the next slide, branding positions you as partner to your customers rather than a typical tech vendor tag. So you have to analyze where you are positioned right now in the boards market. So do your customer think you are another supplier of the board technology or board solution or board product? Do your customer think that you are a typical tech vendor? So if that is the circumstances you are facing with, I think you have to done a lot for repositioning your brand or doing rebranding of your boards, or you have not done even a branding of your boards. So in a typical well-positioned brand, your customer should allocate or consider you as a partner rather than a typical vendor kind of thought or identification or vendor kind of tag. So my first point here is, as boards become increasingly capable, they could potentially lead to brand disintermediation. So what this means, let's focus on Alexa. Alexa, for example, can already orchestrate a number of interactions on behalf of other companies, allowing people to order pizza from Domino's, check their Capital One bank balance, obtain the status updates for Delta flights. So Alexa-based agents are handling multiple queries of the customers, be it the pizza ordering from Domino's, and be it the checking the bank account from the Capital One bank, or be it the getting the flight history of Delta flight. So they are at the same time, at a one time instance, they are interacting with thousands and hundreds of the companies, and they are serving thousands and hundreds of customers. So that means now Alexa, in turn Amazon, owns part of that information exchange by becoming a partner in customer experience of its multiple customers. So generating an integrated view of a customer experience across wide portfolio of customer for improving its own services. So what's happened that once you have a boards which gets deployed by various companies for serving their own customers for the various service requests, and you have your board platform, and you are a owner of that board technology, you are getting fed with a lot of informations from all of your customers who are deployed your board, and so you can build an integrated view of the customers. Some of the customers may be the common customers. With the same customers are dealing with Domino, same customers are dealing with Delta flight company, and the same customers are dealing with similar kind of banks, or so you get the data of customers In fact, the 360, you can develop 360-degree views of your customers, and then you can use it for yourself, for your own service improvement, or you can use the data to enhance your customer service improvement by showing you at a time they were kind of dealing with domino requests, what kind of transaction they are doing with the other agency like banks or the flight operators. So some kind of correlation you can build, and you can build on the value added services about that. So if you are owning a very strong brand boards, so you can engage your customer in multifarious ways. So the next point is whether you already have a well-established brand that you are extending to a board, or you are building it from the ground up. Chatbots and voice assistants should have a particular mechanism from the brand extension. Like any other product, if board's branding is not clear and consistent, then customer experience will fall flat. So if you are designing your first board, then it is great opportunity to embark on your first branding exercise. And if you are having already into boards, then it's time to reevaluate your current branding strategy. Next slide. Branding recommendation for your boards. So voice and tones. So first branding recommendation is voice and tone. So I'm more covering here from the design perspective. So voice and tones are important part of the board branding. So core values and missions of the company are the pillar of the brand's voice. Voice should stay consistent and in alignment with the company's value and the mission. Tone builds off a voice, and it shifts with the state of the conversation and emotional conditions of the users. Tone helps conversations seems natural, and after you have crafted a solid voice, then you need to consider when and how your tone modulates. Your bot should understand the state of the conversation for positive customer experience. The next important attribute for branding your bots is persona. Persona is the vehicle that delivers the voice and tone of your interface. So it is very important for branding of your bots. Persona is all the characteristics of your brand and how it expressed to the users. Typically, we think of persona, we are thinking of a particular character that embodied the brand. Not every brand needs to develop a separate character for their boats, but the characteristics that the brand expresses should be defined. So next point, a well thought out branding process is necessary to build a strong persona. So you need to research about your audiences and various circumstances, your audience may throw, or various scenario may develop during your audience conversation. And then how competitions and markets are essentials to creating a persona that resonates with your users. Next important factor in branding is themes and forms that are part of our cultural biases and can play a major role in building persona in a brand. So next important point is like Q&A. You can throw your questions. If you have any question here, and I think there are many other aspects of the boards branding. Like how you should approach the market, how should segment the market, and how should customize your boards depending on your various segmentations. So you need to have a thorough experience of your customer profile. You should not only see while designing your board, you should not only see your customer profile, but also you should research about the typical profiles of your customers, so that you can, if you are a technology vendor or technology developer, you can actually address your customers, because those are the people who are end users of your products. So understanding their circumstances, their need are very important, and incorporating those needs will be the first building step of a brand. Now look at the IBM Watson. How they have the entire Watson itself is a brand. So IBM is a bigger brand, and that Watson, IBM Watson are there, and then various developers and users are using IBM Watson platform to develop their own version of the boards. So in that way also you can work on your brand extensions. Brand extensions are also very important. So treat your boards as a company branding, as you do branding for a company or products. Treat your boards in the same way. So have a branding, and then how you sort of how your boards is going to impact your million users of your customers, and what are the different scenarios under which your board has to serve uh, your customers or maybe your customers, and simulate these scenarios and try to inculcate your corporate branch in each and every conversation you will have it, while your boards are under production. So with these some of the recommendations, I come towards the end of this webinar, and I look forward for your further query, and we are coming with a more such kind of webinars on branding and positioning of your boards. So remains to tune up on our meetup page and LinkedIn page. I will certainly get back to you with more and more webinars on these or similar kind of topics. So if you need to reach me out, you have my mail ID here, sumant@startcsi.com. Similarly, sumant_parimal@inaugurates.com. So we are also available on LinkedIn, so you can connect over there also. And I really appreciate for your interest, your time, and I look forward. If you have any query, I look forward replying the same or clarifying the same. If you have any research requirement or any kind of insights requirement which is related to your boards product, do write to me. I'll certainly able to get back to you with my own perspective and views. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for your interest in this webinar. Thanks a lot, and having a great day ahead. Thanks a lot.